So there was big news that dropped earlier today, this morning, about changes to the entire TFT competitive landscape. And this is a really big deal for anybody that cares about anything about competitive TFT. Maybe you watch TFT for your favorite streamer and you don't really care that much. If you watch, somebody that just mainly plays for fun, not really news relevant to you. But to a lot of people who follow the streamers that tend to compete, or even the World Championship, which is no longer called the World Championship, it's a big freaking deal. So let's go ahead and break it down because, quite frankly, I don't think the TFT infographics and articles explained it well enough. They probably could have put a TLDR and effectively help people understand, but it's a lot of mumbo jumbo. Okay, so let's go ahead and start here. So they put out a post. I mean, there's a post on Reddit, but it's actually a post on their official website, which, by the way, the website is leagueoflegends.com/ENUS/news/esports. Why TFT is still on the League of Legends website, that's something else. A different fight for another day. They put out an article called Rebuilding the Path to Pro in TFT, Paving the Future of Competitive TFT in Set 11 and Beyond. So for them, the way Riot's approaching this is they're reshaping the entire meaning of what it means to become a pro in TFT. So it's a really big deal. It's a huge title. Author is Michael Sherman. For people who don't know, he runs global head of play over things like TFT and Project L, or 2XKO, whatever you want to call it. Let's jump into it. If you have tuned into the Ink Fables dev drop after the Remix Rumble Championship, you were first to hear that we're making our biggest changes yet to the way players compete in TFT Esports each set. Before we dive in on what's changing, we want to talk a little bit about our goals for regional competition. At its core, our regional events give high-level players the opportunity to showcase their mastery and skill over set. Cool. Once a player hits Challenger, these events serve as a way to give new heights to climb and opponents to face, right? That makes sense. As you get better at the game, you want more chances to compete against better players at the game. I think that's all fine and dandy. Additionally, regional events give fans a way to see their favorite players, what competitions are strong, and watch their favorite streamers talk about or even compete in their favorite game. But there's some weaknesses to the current approach. Most glaringly, the way that players compete or watch is different around the world. While this was helpful at the start of TFT Esports to help us learn what works and what doesn't, it also means following or getting involved is really challenging to understand. Additionally, we've heard feedback from players that events feel like a qualifier for a qualifier, and players are unsatisfied with winning anything short of a world slot. At Delicious Milk GG. Where is he? At Delicious Milk GG. He's not even in chat. I mean, he's probably busy grinding his PB games. Everyone in North America was complaining about this, right? They keep calling it a bunch of other names. Mickey Mouse Cups, parking. I'm losing to a bunch of parking lot. There's a lot of ego being driven from players who feel like they're above playing in these qualifiers. They say, quote, "It's so boring," right? They feel like their soul's being sucked out. We believe there's an opportunity to introduce new layers of competition that create new and exciting stakes and new competitors. Finally, it's no secret they made a lot of adjustment over the years to how many players qualify to champions from each region. The original seeding was built largely off of how big the player base is in each region and perceived competitiveness. Perceived competitive. That's right. We thought EU was going to be more competitive. That is true. TFT has grown a lot over the years. We've added new regions over time, and we've even seen smaller regions like Japan make huge runs. We want to make seeding more flexible while maintaining a clear path for how players qualify over Worlds. Okay, so basically they're talking about like how at this point they felt like they've heard their complaints. Everyone's saying like the path to pro is confusing. It feels like a bunch of qualifiers. People feel like it was Worlds or nothing else really matters. And also that they have tinkered things, but TFT is now grown and now we need to scale up, which also it's all fair. It's all fair. Okay, what's changing? Set championships. Starting at the top of championships, we're rebalancing seeding to be more consistent around the world. As a baseline, we'll be distributing slots at the pan-regional level with 7 slots going to Americas, 7 slots going to EMEA, 7 slots going to Asia Pacific, and 7 slots going to China. So right away, they're going to just basically say, hey, everybody is going to have equal chances based on the pan-regional competition. So if you live in North America, LATAM, Brazil, any part of the North or South America continent, you're now fighting for one of 7 slots, which is fewer than what we had before, because NA would have, 4 slots, and then LATAM would have a couple slots, and then Brazil would have a couple slots. And so right away, we have a little bit less availability of slots for other people. Meanwhile, EMEA noticeably performing worse in the World Championship to the point where people are saying that we should take seeds away are now getting even more spots. And this is currently one of the reasons why people are kind of up in arms about it. Some competitive players, especially from people from like LATAM and Brazil and APAC, because APAC had SEA and OCE and Korea and Japan and Vietnam, right? They all had way more slots, and now they have 7. So America and APAC are getting screwed in this exchange, and EMEA and China get extra slots. And extra slots to China, it almost is like, okay, that's fair. They actually always have 3 to 4 players in the final lobby. They perform really, really well. But for EMEA to get slots, it's definitely rubbing a lot of people the wrong way. Joe Bookmark put out a tweet that I thought was pretty funny. He said, oh, I get it. Regions get the same number of world slots as world's AVP times 2. For example, North America, 3.5 AVP times 2 is 7. EMEA, 5.0 AVP times 2 is 10. It makes sense to me. Why is everyone mad? I should like this tweet. That's actually pretty funny. Not bad, Joe Bookmark. Nah, Joe is a clown. He's a clown. I mean, it's a meme. Come on, you gotta admit that one's pretty funny. Now here's my take on it. I think that it should be less guaranteed slots, and based on the regions performing, they give more to the best performing regions because it's going to be really competitive. The thing that I'm really scared about here is that it ends up choking out a lot of regions, right? We'll talk about it a little bit more, right? In North America, for example, just a spoiler, they guaranteeing seeds for every region, right? So the highest qualifier points earner from each region, LATAM and Brazil and North America, are guaranteed a spot at the championship. But that means that LATAM and Brazil have a significantly high chance of sending one player, just one player. And that applies to all the other regions. Like APAC's going to have their own system, EMEA is going to have their own system, etc. And so what ends up happening is it feels like people are getting fewer opportunities. I'm not entirely sure how it's actually working out, but based on the slot allocation, it almost feels like everybody is getting fewer slots, which sounds wrong, right? America's 7 slots. It's like, wow, theoretically, you could send 7 NA players, right? At first glance. And then based on the top 3 pan regions that are performing the previous set championship, you also get an extra seat. So it's like, wow, maybe NA can send 8, maybe even 9 players. But that's not actually true. It feels like less opportunities. I'm not entirely sure why, but it's a sentiment that right now is going on. How come CN is reserving the same format? I'm pretty sure CN's like, nah, we want to do it our way, and you're not going to mess with us. And then they're like, okay. they put their hands up and said, caught, okay. you called our bluff. We can't actually make you do it. CN is a big driving force, and it wouldn't surprise me if CN was just like, nah, we're gonna do it our way, or or we're gonna do our own thing. Because quite frankly, China could just do their own competitive circuit, and they can just be like, yeah, we're gonna go do our own thing. China regionals for mobile and PC is more than the rest of the world combined. China's prize pool for regionals is like $280,000 for the PC version, and then the mobile regionals is also just as high. It's like their prize pool is more than $500,000 just for their regionals alone, not counting for everything else going into it. China is their own entire competitive circuit. They actually don't have to join it, even though it's great. It's a really big thing, and it would be a big value add loss. I think that they don't have to. And then here's what Arctic Laser said with her like in chat. The other option that I would like to see is maybe just more players. Why does it have to be 32? Could it be 40? Maybe they feel like that's too many slots and too many players. But what if we just added more players to championships? Who knows? Maybe they feel like they're doing too many championships, right? Because part of the whole thing is that they're doing 3 championships a year. We'll see. To make sure we're still awarding performance, the top 3 pan regions of the previous set championship will also receive an extra seed, and the winner of the previous set will automatically receive a slot as long as they qualify for their regional final. So if Malala qualifies for regionals for set 11, he gets a spot guaranteed. And that's also what feels like a pseudo slot. Okay, sure. You're saying 7 slots go to Americas, but actually one of those slots, and the regional winner, right? Or the championship winner. So it's like, oh, and it gets 8 slots. It's actually not really, because Malala claimed his spot. So it's like, it's more about the individual, and Malala represents Americas for sure. He represents NA, represents Tri-State, USA, whatever you want to say. But a lot of players who are aspirational feel like, okay, yeah, but that's like a fake slot that we're getting because it's guaranteed to somebody else and I can't get it. These 4 extra slots bring us to 32 players that make up the championship. In short, pan regions have at least 7 slots, but can earn up to 2 more based on their performance. So we get additional slot thanks to Malala. In fact, basically, whoever wins the championship guarantees an extra slot. So thank you, Malala. You got us an extra slot. And then second and third place was CN, so they get 2 more slots. So China is sending 9 players. America is sending 9 players. APAC and EMEA send 7 each. This is what, from my understanding, for Set 11 championship. For the Inkborn Fables championship, we're starting with 8 slots for each pan region and award performance slots starting in set. Oh, never mind. This is a performance slot starting in set 12. Got it. Well, that's even worse then. I guess we're just gonna have to win it again, you guys. I don't know why you guys make us keep proving it one more time, but I guess North America will win it again, I suppose. They really just don't believe, huh? Yeah, they're starting in set 12. I saw that. The Remix Rumble champion will take one of those 8 slots from the region, in this case would be North America. Louder for the people in the back. Regional competition. With the move to distributing championship slots pan-regionally, we're also moving to pan-regional finals and cups. Set 11 will feature 3 pan-regional cups that seed players into a pan-regional finals. Now, if you guys are getting confused by what pan-regional means, it's basically what EMEA is. It's a combination of a bunch of regions. Like EMEA, for people who don't know, is Europe, the Middle East, and Africa, right? You can't just say EU, because EU is only one of 3 of those big regions covered. Now, pan-region for us would be North and South America, but no one wants to say North and South America. You could just say the Americas. Players in EMEA might be familiar with this model as it's similar to how they compete today, bringing together players from EU West, EUNE, Turkey, and the CIS servers. These cups and finals now take place during the same weekends using the same patches and similar formats. How you qualify for these events will vary a little bit with each pan region to account for the number of servers that they serve. We've been working with our teams around the world to streamline these as much as possible. When a regional team wants to deviate from the format, we've brought other teams to discuss if we should adapt these globally, trying to ensure that we're maintaining what made previous regionals format a success while being more consistent path around the world. This is them saying if something worked for NA that doesn't think that they can work for APAC, then they probably won't do that. And maybe something that worked for EMEA doesn't work for North America or South America. We're not going to force them to do that. Which is good. They're saying each region still has their small quirks. Where's Africa? I mean, they play on EUS and EUNE. They're talking about the servers. The key word here is servers. There's people from like Tunisia, for example. They play on these servers. It doesn't mean just because their server isn't physically located or digitally planed on, whatever server it is from a specific country or region. That doesn't mean that doesn't cover them. To qualify for these events, we'll use a combination of ladder pre-results and other tournaments like the TRCs in Europe. I watched some of these TRCs. If you've been following my channel, we even watched some of the finals. For example, remember when we watched the German finals that featured like Salvi and Kevin Parker and Dark Hydra and Wet Jungler, which is like, this could be an EMEA finals. That was a regional cup for Germany only. And those players that did well got a spot in things like the Spatula Cup, which is what regionals is effectively, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Finally, we've taken this opportunity to standardize prize pools for cups and finals for a total of $85,000 per set per pan region, which is actually a lot. You might be like, okay, $85,000 is not a lot, but per set, so times 3 per year, per pan region, so times 4. So it kind of adds up a lot in terms of having a lot more prize pool because, well, okay, actually, it's probably times 3 because I don't think they pay China. I'd be surprised if they actually are paying China to do it. So it's probably times 3. In most cases, it means that they have increased, but in a few places, they've stayed the same. Given the scale of TFT in China and the inclusion of Fight for the Golden Spatula, which is their mobile game, a licensed mobile version of TFT in China, China will continue to maintain its own structure to better suit the needs of its players, and will be continue sharing lessons back and forth to help build the best global structure. I mean, if you guys would be like, we should just copy China, they would split the PC and mobile player base, which we don't want. How does Fight for the Golden Spatula affect the TFT scene? They are very likely funding a big portion of this. China Mobile, if you guys don't know, makes buttloads of money. And the reason why we're able to get amazing things like, high quality art where you can watch Lilia emote and dance or Set do squats or do all this like fancy stuff is because China spends a ton of money on TFT. So to answer your question, where would we be or what does FFGS do in response to TFT? They basically fund the damn thing. Feels like less guaranteed spots with more floating awards based on performance are better to watch competitively as opposed to representation.
Man, I'm getting more dogged again.
That's part of it. Okay, a new global brand. This is actually a big deal as well. As TFT Esports grows, we want the way we think and talk about it to grow too. I agree. I think that people in TFT. Okay, do you know one thing that's really interesting is that one phenomenon that happens in TFT is TFT players have an inferiority complex when it comes to TFT. They feel like the only people that understand and want to watch TFT are TFT players, right? Just listen to Soju talk about TFT viewership. He's just like, well, anybody that watches me is just TFT fans. It's not like anybody else in the gaming community really cares about us. And that's not true. That's actually not true. And I think the way we need to think and talk about TFT and where it fits competitively amongst the gaming landscape, especially because Riot's investing a lot into it, needs to evolve as well. It's time for us to grow up. We need to get rid of our inferiority complex that we have as TFT players. We're cool now. You understand? Riot's spending money. We're cool. We're using this opportunity to introduce new name conventions and logos to bring everything a little closer together around the world and making it easier to reference different events and the results no matter what pan region you're cheering on. Though the names are new, we think they'll be familiar to every TFT player. First are the Tactician Trials, which acts as opening qualifiers for the following weekend. This is the equivalent of like day one of Heartsteel Cup or KDA Cup from set 10, if you guys remember. Or if you go back to previous sets, right? It's like day one of Astral Cup, day one of Jade Cup, day one of the Defender Cup. Because quite frankly, okay, who can tell me what was the name of the tournaments back in set 5 and set 6? If someone tells you that I was a winner of like these cups, does that really mean a lot? But if you say that you're a trials winner, that actually means something. And if you compare, I compared it to like Magic Gathering. If you win like a PTQ, a Pro Tour qualifier, that means a lot more than saying like I won the Return to Ravinica Detroit local event, you know, hosted by whatever acronym store you want. Right? Like I just use that as an example. Or if you were to kind of say it, you'd be like, well, you know, it was like an official cup or a tactician's trial. It feels like it's easier for people to say, like, I'm a trial winner, right? Like that actually means something. And also, this, by the way, is for a lot of people in chat something for you to claim to fame, right? How many trials wins do you have, or trials like top cuts do you have, right? It actually gives you something. Like now, Showtime actually has something to put on his resume. He said day one Astral Cup winner or whatever, like Astral Cup weekend one winner. This guy won a tournament. He actually won Tactician Trials, the equivalent of that. It's giving the aspirational achievement. What does pan-regional mean? You came here just like a little bit after that. I just explained it. Pan-regional means intercontinental or inter-region. So a good example of pan-region is EMEA, because it's Europe, Middle East, and Africa. So pan-region for us, the pan-regional definition for what we're doing is North and South America, aka the Americas. Asia Pacific is pan-region because it covers a bunch of different parts of it, like Southeast Asia and Korea, Japan, Taiwan, Hong Kong, Macau, etc. Okay, so the first weekend is now called the Trials. The second weekend, each Tactician Trials are followed by a Tactician's Cup. That is day 3. That's the final weekend. When people are playing for top 32 snapshots in North America, at least. It's different for other places around the world, but for North America and also for EMEA, this is what they call the Golden Spatula Cup. It's now just called a cup in general, a Tactician's Cup. So winning a cup means that you win KDA Cup, you won Golden Spatula Cup, you won Pro Legends or whatever, right? Like for Brazil. All these different, like Africa had the ATS, right? The ATS series. If I asked any of you, tell me what ATS stands for, none of you could even say that, but that's the equivalent of what they have. So now Korea has their own cup, right? So you can say I won set 11's Korea Cup, Tactician's Cup, and that actually means something. So this new global branding nomenclature is actually really important, I think. There are 3 Tactician's Cups in total, an early, mid, and late cup, right? We have 3 cups. Now that we don't have mid sets, it's just early, mid, and late cup. Players who qualify for the pan-regional finals will be competing in their pan-regional Golden Spatula. The Golden Spatula, is the regionals competition now. So now we don't call it regionals, we call it pan-regionals for short. That's probably going to be the way a lot of streamers say it at first. I'm going to qualify for pan-regionals or regionals. And then Golden Spatula is technically the name of it. So if you've won regionals, you've won a Golden Spatula. Now the thing is, this, if you say we can't just retroactively and say, you know, Dissob won a Golden Spatula, because that's not true. He didn't win the North and South America competition. He won North America's regionals, but that's not actually the Golden Spatula. It's different. For all the bragging rights, each set will end with the global championship, the Tactician's Crown, which we previously called set championship. So this is now called the Tactician's Crown. Crowns for short. How many crowns does this person have? It's not going to be worlds anymore, which is kind of big because it's shifting away from the concept of worlds. I don't think TFT is trying to go into the concept of having worlds anymore, because from my POV, I actually wrote this down in my summary. In my summary, I said Riot rebranded Circuit to make it simpler. No like NA Cup versus like, you know, whatever regional cup circuit is called. This is good because people don't know the difference between these cups. And it seems like TFT is branding away from world championships now to be more like majors, and TFT is moving towards this to be like tennis and golf or whatever comparison you want to make. And it makes sense to me personally because 3 worlds a year doesn't sound right. Because you're like, well, this is worlds. It's like, well, which worlds is it? Like worlds from set 11, world set 12, world set 13. And that's all happening this year. Or set 13 worlds is not happening this year, but set 13 is launching. Set 10, 11, 12 worlds this year. And that just gets a little bit much. I think that's what kills a little bit of the hype. If you're like, there's 3 worlds a year, that doesn't sound right. The branding of it's not very good, in my opinion. So they're moving away from it. Now we're kind of going into what is equivalent of a majors system, which I think all that I'm on board with. This update is just the beginning of TFT Esports next chapter. We can't wait to continue connecting high stakes play with TFT. Okay, so here's the graphic just to kind of help indicate Tacticians Trials weekend 1, like day 1 of a cup. If you make it past the weekend 1, you qualify for the Tacticians Cup. Then from the Tacticians Cup, top performing players get a spot at the Spatula Series or the Golden Spatula. This is probably the weakest naming of it. I don't like calling it the Golden Spatula for the equivalent of regionals, but whatever, it is what it is. And then you qualify for the Crown, which is just something. If we say it enough, it'll be a thing. Trust me. If they made things like Valorant stick around, then calling a world championship a Tactician's Crown is probably gonna stick. You just have to say it enough times, and you just get familiar with it. I will say one thing. Riot's naming systems have historically not always been like good at first glance, and then you just kind of get used to it. Even Teamfight Tactics. The first time I heard it, I was like, Teamfight Tactics. Couldn't you call this like something a little bit cooler, right? Like you look at all these other new games that are coming out. They have some like epic names, right? Yeah, like 2XKO. Like what? So in general, I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. I don't think Riot's like initial naming makes a lot of sense on the surface level, but if you just say enough, maybe who knows? Maybe we'll just say like, hey, how many crowns does EMEA have? And it turns out they have 1. Crowns is actually the wrong word. It's just crown. I mean, that'll be something that maybe catches on over time. We'll see. What's next? We believe 2024 will be a monumental year for the growth of TFT as we look to massively expand access to high stakes play. These foundational changes to regional competition are core to realizing this opportunity, whether it's to make more consistent space for events like the CN International Invitational towards the middle of the set, or exploring integration of additional tournaments and third-party events. That's great, right? So this is huge because this makes more tournaments available to happen besides just the cups. I do like the split of trials and cups. I think that makes a lot of sense. I think the only thing I don't like is just calling regional spatula. It's just weird. Hey, maybe we get more MSI. Maybe we get more show matches and invitationals. Hey, maybe we get EMEA versus NA directly. That'd be cool. Prize pools in 2024 are also going up dramatically, which is thumbs up for me, with the increase at the regional level and the introduction of a 3rd championship, aka Tactician's Crown. Hey, they got a TAC Crown for their TAC Crown, right? Tactician's Crown gives you +1. It's the same exact thing, same concept. Very flavorful. The lore. The global available prize pool will increase from $2 million to $3 million in 2024. This is a big deal, you guys. Call it whatever you want. You can just be like, this is bad for TFT, competitive for like for APAC, or bad for Americas, whatever. But the one thing you can't deny, TFT is one of the only games increasing the amount of money they're spending. They're increasing the amount of spending by 50%. They could have just said, hey, we're doing 3 crowns a year, and we're just spending $2 million. And now we split it out more. They could have totally just done that. And you're like, well, it just makes sense. Just spend more money, right? TFT prints infinite money, right? You guys charge $500 for chibi. They didn't have to. They're choosing to invest more, and that's a big deal because look at what's happening across everything else. In League of Legends, they're making cuts across the board all the time. In Valorant, they also made cuts, right? Like there's a bunch of people who don't have jobs, which we'll talk about a little bit, because this also affected TFT. Look at what's going on with others games as well, right? There's a lot of cutbacks to Overwatch, there's a lot of cutbacks to the Call of Duty League, there's a lot of things to Rocket League, right? Like there's a bunch of esports that are just constantly cutting back. TFT went 50% deeper. They actually shoved their chips in the middle. This is a big time bet. This is a big time bet. And for that, we have to be really happy about that. We have to be really happy about that because, like, this is esports winter, right? Everyone's talking about how esports is a scam. I listen to Richard Lewis rants once a week on average about how this, like, the biggest grift is to convince people that esports is still an industry. It's still a thing. It's really not. It's really not. It's a complete farce of a return on investment as a financial tool or a financial investment tool. But one thing it does do is drive hype, drive new users, drive eyeballs, drive headlines and engagement and clout. And TFT is going to invest more into that. So that's a huge deal and we should be very happy. In the coming days, you'll be able to learn more about how Set 11 will be run in your region, so keep an eye out for all the details. For those competing in the set, good luck. Your journey will start by climbing the ranked ladder in Inkborn Fable. Signed, Michael Sherman. Okay, so overall, a positive set of news. Yes, there's some downsides to it. Yes, Americas and APAC got the raw end of the deal. Yes, EMEA is still likely to underperform. I mean, now they have more seeds, so theoretically they have even more chances to make it to final lobby. But in the end, I will say one thing. I think pan-regional spatula, can we just call it something besides the golden spatula? I think these pan-regional golden spatulas are going to be pretty hype. I think it's going to be really easy to follow, right? Did you watch Americas? Did you watch EMEA? Did you watch APAC? And that's it. We're done. That's it. We're done. I can watch all three of them. I get to see everybody. How many of you, raise of hand in chat, watched me watch every region? Maybe a few of you were like, man, I watched you watch Korea. I watched you watch Japan. I watched you watch LATAM. I watched you watch Brazil. I watched you watch like that. It's a lot. It's a lot. Maybe you watched like some of them with me, but to watch every one of them, I don't expect a single one of you. Okay, Raptor did. My faithful mod in chat. I actually did because you're awesome. Thank you, Letty. Thank you. But I'm saying, like, not everyone has the time and place for it. I think this brings international competition together in a more exciting way. And also, my hope is that I would love LATAM and Brazil to level up as a field because they compete against North America now. I want LATAM and North America and Brazil to mingle more as communities. More on that in a little bit. Okay, so I explained it here. This gives EMEA CN more slots than majors than they had before, while Americas and APAC have fewer slots. I'm not a fan of this, but I get it. It's similar to other global circuits. What I mean is every other like pan-regional competition, right? Valorant does this, for example. Hearthstone did this for a while. Actually, almost exactly the same, which is EMEA, APAC, Americas, and China. So there's precedent. It's very, very common. It's not actually so TFT is just fitting in. It's a way for people to understand. If you followed other competitive circuits, maybe this one just makes sense. More money to scale up, which is great. It would suck to play for less money, and it looks like they're bringing open cups to help qualify for trials, aka day ones of tournaments. So ladder is not the only method. This is awesome. Okay, this is great. More accessibility is good for TFT. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys the second article, because they actually released an America's specific article on the best TFT website for news source, leagueoflegends.com. Why is that a thing, man? Can we just call it Teamfight Tactics? If I change this to teamfighttactics.com, okay, I change it to teamfighttactics.leagueoflegends.com. All right, whatever. I mean, it makes sense, I guess. Everything about TFT on leagueoflegends.com. Don't worry. Well, TFT Hub, this is exactly what TFT Hub is trying to solve. Author TFT Esports staff rebuilding the path of pro in TFT Americas. This is part 2. We have 2 parts. Actually, we have 2.5 parts. We have a little bit of an epilogue. While Riot Sherman has already given you a lot of information about why we are changing, I would like to provide you with more details on our plans for TFT Americas Esports. I am Riot Dreamflare. A few of you may know me already from the TFT EMA Esports circuit or the Set Championships TFT Tacticians Crowns. Wow. I hope, you know what? I'm down for them to keep it all. Keep calling it Set Championship. Keep calling it Tacticians Crown. The longest ass championship name of all time. LOL Worlds or the Set Championships Teamfight Tactics Tacticians Crowns. Oh my god, what a mouthful. We could all just call it TFT Worlds, but hey, that's just me. By the way, this is Max is a great guy. He's a really good guy. Very funny. One of the few funny German people I've ever met. No, actually, there's a handful of funny German people. You just have to understand. Like, I didn't think German people were very funny until I started learning German culture, and then I realized that they're all really funny in a very German way. Okay. But I am happy to announce that going forward, I will also lead TFT America's Esports in close collaboration with the local teams in NA, LATAM, and Brazil. For people who don't know, this is who took over Chad's job from the Americas, Chad Smoltz, the guy who helped us put together like Summit, if you guys remember from set 8. It's a while now, like a year and a half ago. TFT Summit was like Chad was helping out. He was doing this job, and now Max is taking over as well. With Inkborn Fables, we're going to merge the currently separated circuits of North America, LATAM, Brazil into one conjoined circuit, TFT Americas, which will allow our most competitive players from North America, Brazil, LATAM servers to compete regularly within the set with a joint qualification path to TFT Tacticians Crowns and shared access to an increased price pool. Nice. Throughout Inkborn Fables, you have the chance to compete within our 3 Tacticians Cup to make sure you qualify into our new TFT America's Golden Spatula. Are the NA study groups going to expand with BR LATAM? I don't think so yet. I think that might change after this set. I think at the America's Golden Spatula, if LATAM and Brazil show up and really do well, I can see a world where the top players break in, right? Like Robin, Dish Soap, Kuramex, a lot of people who are independent. Maybe they study with, Michael, who's one of the strongest LATAM players, right? Or let's say Relic's able to improve on his performance and show that not only was set 10 like a great breakout set, but he can follow it up. These really, other people who did really well from Brazil. Maybe that's a way for them to form study groups. That'd be really interesting. I think that'd be really cool. German humor is the worst. All right, get this guy out, man. That's a 10-second timeout. Jesus Christ. All right, so this is the structure. It's a pyramid. At the very top is the Tactician's Crown. This is Worlds. Whoa, no, we didn't know we permanently banned that guy. All right, America's Golden Spatula. This is the regionals competition now. And then Cups and Trials, which we already talked about. If you missed it, if you're just coming in, Trials are the new day 1, right? I got day 1. I got weekend 1. That's the Tactician's Trials. Showtime has now a claim to fame. Frodan has won the weekend of Tactician's Trials. I was the highest scoring weekend 1 player in the Noxus Cup in set 9. Guess what? Frodan has won Tactician's Trials. You know what? I'm just going to say that. Set 9 Tactician's Trials winner, Frodan. No, that's my new intro. Tactician's Cup is day 3, the second weekend of it. That's the second weekend of it. So KDA Cup, Hearthstone Cup. This is the equivalent of the Golden Spatula Cup for EMEA. And then this is the really big part, is that there are qualifiers that you could play in to get into the trials, right? People talked about, I have only limited time. I love TFT. I want to compete, but hey, I don't want to grind solo queue ladder to challenger every single other week in order to qualify for these trials. And before in the past, it was like this snapshot party. It was really tense and everything like that. They're offering another way to qualify, which is a satellite tournament. And that's really big. An open qualifier tournament to help you qualify for the qualifier, for the qualifier, for the qualifier of the crown. So now, this is really good news for people like Bryce. This is really good news for retired folks who've entered the workforce that want to compete every now, like Bertosaurus and New Bowel, right, from North America. Or I don't know if there's any examples from EMEA of people who retired, but, maybe play it. And then every now and then they might qualify for a cup. Who knows? Yes, no. It's really good for everybody here in chat that isn't, who isn't like at the level of qualifying every single cup based off ladder alone. And yes, you might be like, well, these tournaments are not going to be as competitive, but that's a good thing, I think. Elia is a good example from Germany. Yes. So this community satellite tournament is a really good thing, in my opinion. Fantastic. Because you want to give those people an opportunity to showcase their skill. And maybe qualify through a way that they can't otherwise. All right. While the ladders will serve as a significant qualification mechanism for Tacticians Trials and Tacticians Cups, we will try to offer each sub-region, North America, LATAM, Brazil, some unique qualification path, which should feel locally relevant and serve as alternative for those which didn't quite make it through ladder snapshots, which is great. It's exactly what I talked about. For North America, we will partner with established communities and events to bring some exciting new tournaments to Inkborn Fables. What if Frodan's community hosts a satellite tournament to qualify for Tacticians Trials? That'd be kind of cool. I would love to see that. You know what? Actually, I'm going to DM Max. I'm going to do that right now. Just putting it out there. I wouldn't mind potentially thinking about hosting a satellite tournament that qualifies for a trial. Woksh. Although, TBH, I would want to talk about that more. Anyways, I put that as an idea. Who knows? Maybe Max should just be like, you're delusional. You don't know how to run tournaments. Or rather, you don't have experience running tournaments. We're going to go with someone else. For LATAM in 2024, we will continue to work with our existing partner. Oh, actually, you know, I just realized maybe like Soju or other people could also do that too. That'd be exciting. For LATAM in 2024, we continue to work with our existing partner to run our sub-regional tournament circle that will qualify players into Tacticians Trials and Tacticians Cups. Okay, so LATAM has already an existing partner, and I think they're the people that do things like the Liga finals, right? LATAM has like their own La Liga league for TFT. For Brazil in 2024, we will also continue our local partner run the Road to Pro Circuit, qualifying players into Tacticians Trials and Tacticians Cup. I believe that's their Pro Legends. All these changes will align the America circuit with our global plans to make it much easier for players to understand how to get involved, compete, and watch. Talking about TFT Americas, especially in NA, Latin, Brazil, we have seen that the vast majority of our watch audience is consuming our esports content via their favorite players and content creators. This is another big piece of news, actually. Right here. Starting with Inkborn Fables, we want to explore how our tournaments can be platform for players and content creators to show up even more and build up their own brand. This also means that the Tacticians Cups, which will qualify into the Gold Spatula, will not feature an official traditional broadcast anymore, but rather experiment to put co-streams and POVs into the spotlight. For TFT America's Golden Spatula, our Riot-owned broadcast will be back in English, Spanish, and Portuguese, in addition to your favorite community streams. So from now on, all these cups, right? These Tacticians Cup, this is KDA Cup, Hearthsteel Cup, Golden Spatula, and EMEA. They are no longer going to be broadcasted anymore. So casters, good luck. TFT casting is now worthless. It's just, call yourself a TFT caster. You work 3 times a year. Maybe, if you get invited. You put out a poll. Competitive changes, good. LMAO, is this a joke? Bad. I mean, I think, well, okay, well, this is just a poll of like 30 people voting or so, but I think that covers the range of what I expected. So now TFT casters, and not just the casters, but the people that observe, right? Like Yenwei, who works as our editor and channel manager for Don't Talk If You Don't Know podcast, he lost a big portion of his jobs. The admins, the tournament admins, right? People. I don't know if Boise's worked the official events, but people like Boise's and our affiliate and everyone else who did stuff for like these broadcasts, they don't have a job right now. Now, a bunch of the people who work the production rooms, they don't have a job. So, or they lost that ability to have a job. Now, of course, nothing is ever entitled or deserved. It's always something that you work towards and earn anyways. It's just there's a handful of people, and this is something that we'll probably cover because there's a Reddit thread that actually covers all this, saying like TFT main broadcast getting scaled / laid off. Source Frodan. It's not me, man. I'm not the source. I'm literally just reading what this says on the article. So I don't like the way this is framed. And this guy like posted an image of me talking in Prestivin's chat. I'm not the source, but you know, whatever. I guess I helped signal boost it. But yeah, like it's actually a really big deal. And yesterday, Riot invited us all into a call to tell us this before the embargo would lift. They said that we're going to announce this tomorrow, but we felt like you guys should know first. We're going to be cutting a lot of the TFT broadcast content out there and focusing on co-streamers. And it was like, there's 2 things about that. One, I basically felt like I watched all my friends get exit interviewed. Like I don't think I've ever seen that before, at least at the esports talent level. If they've ever said like, hey, we're going to go in a different direction, I've never been part of that call. So one, it was super awkward and terrible of a mood. The vibes absolutely sucked being in that call because what else is, you know, I watched that all happen because a lot of these guys are my friends, right? Admirable, I casted Hearthstone with for a long time. I worked with now like Necra and Boop and Crow and all of them for a long time, and basically just watched them say like, yeah, we're not hiring you back for a lot, and if we do hire you back, there's like 4 slots 3 times a year. Maybe you get to cast Worlds if you're like exceptional. It's tough. It was a really tough call, and I honestly don't think I'm emotionally fully recovered from that because I think that like there's something about that moment that I think will sit with me for a long time. The second part of that was, why did you invite me as part of the call? Like, okay, maybe you wanted to be efficient. You wanted to be efficient and just be like, okay, it's a change to the broadcast philosophy, and we're gonna go into co-streams. So like, you know, Frodan and Bryce was there too. Like maybe we'll invite them to be part of the call to see all this. But like, couldn't you just send me the slides afterwards, or just invited me 10 minutes after everyone left? Like I don't, why? Because now I'm the one sitting there saying like, okay, we're gonna be investing in our esports content via the favorite players and content creators, right? We're gonna rather experiment to put coach streams and POV streams in the spotlight. So they're clearly saying like, hey, you guys are all out of jobs, and also we're gonna invest more in push like stuff like Frodan's content out there. I'm just sitting there on the call like, okay, I'm gonna just turn my cam off, mute my mic. Like, why am I here? I did not know why I was on the call, man. It was a little bit awkward to say the least. I mean, obviously, I know why. Look, it's a shitty call to have. I have the utmost empathy for the people that have to deliver the news, right? These are people that it's not like the people who's delivering the information are like personally responsible for it. But the reality is, a lot of this that we covered is great news, but for a small subsection of people, the casters, the people that are working on it, the production behind it, the observing administration, they unfortunately are getting cut out. And there's like a group of 50, 75, 100 people in the world right now that hate this news. And it's tragic. It's really tragic. The other element of it is, what does this say about the state of TFT esports casting? And there's a lot of people that have opinions, like maybe esports casting is not a thing for TFT. And there's a little bit merit to that, right? Because the thing about it, that was talked about it, that I reached out to every caster I possibly could. I reached out to all the talent that I worked with, that I have relationships with within Americas, and even some in EMEA, because EMEA is also affected by this, by the way. Panda tweeted out, from set 12 onwards, EMEA no longer hosts TFT broadcasts for GSCs, which is that. And he says, this makes it harder and impossible to justify committing to TFT as a career path in my current role as a caster. Like, everyone's saying this across the board. I did reach out to them, and it's just terrible, man. It's just honestly really terrible. It's good news across the board, almost, except for this area. And what does it really say about the state of TFT esports casting? That when a lot of people are out there in comments being like, good, yeah, the main broadcast always sucked. And like, to be fair, criticism is always allowed, right? You can levy whatever you want to say. And everyone's going to be like, well, yeah, I didn't like the casting this way, or I didn't like the observing this. This is better. This was worse. I'd rather listen to Mort Dog on Sundays, or, Frodan's co-stream is great. And I appreciate that. I appreciate all the love. I really do. I'm not saying don't gas me up, by all means. Every streamer has an element of narcissism to them. Like, you can't succeed without a little bit, at least like a 1% gene in that. And so I appreciate the gas. I really do. I love the W glaze. But on the other hand, it's just hard to watch the art of commentary be disrespected so hard. They're basically saying TFT casting is worthless. Like, it doesn't do anything. We're not going to an official traditional broadcast anymore. This is what I grew up dreaming to do. When I was 18, 17 years old, I was attending MLG events, and I was like, wait, there's like a dude commentating video games. He was like, I was watching Chris Puckett do Halo, right? I was watching like Artosis and Tasteless do StarCraft, and I was watching all these people that I looked up to so much. And I was like, I want that to be like that one day. And it just feels like, to me, the art of commentary is just getting stampeded on repeatedly. It's so sad. It's really, really depressing. And there's nothing for it, right? It's not like I want Riot to walk back the decision. I totally get it. If anything, selfishly, it's like, well, like, maybe if they're going to invest more in the co-stream, can we actually like really juice this up? I'd love to do more stuff with the co-stream. I can't help but feel like this was a really sad day, a really sad week, a really sad piece of news for the esports caster that grew up, little Frodan. I feel like my childhood dream was just like, yeah. All the years you spent perfecting your craft and chasing what you wanted to do and like, pursuing your dreams, like it's meaningless. They're not saying that, but it's hard not to feel that. That's all. In a way, co-stream is commentary. You're right. You're not wrong. It's just, I guess it's more about the craft. I guess the craft feels disrespected. But hey, times are hard, and Riot is spending millions of dollars. It's not feasible, right? You're talking about, like, can they keep it around? Riot is spending $2 to $3 million for just the prize pool alone. Remember, they're adding an entire competitive season to the format. It's no longer just like 2 sets a year. It's 3 sets a year. So they're doing 33% more across the board. I replied to somebody here, was saying something that concerns me personally is that even though I don't get to invite to visual broadcasts, the path that Riot's taking towards having many co-stream boosting up numbers rather than one professionally produced series broadcast is it a quantity over quality thing. I replied, it's not really about boosting numbers, it's following them. They tried the main broadcast for 4 years, and it currently totals 10% of event viewership. 10%. 10% of all event viewership right now, or even less, is dedicated to the main broadcast. 90+% is for POVs or other co-streams and everything like that. So from their POV, continuing spending 33% more into broadcast while scaling everything else is a big risk. So the reality is they needed to do this. It makes a lot of business sense, but it's tragic. It's tragic.
Man, I'm getting more dogged again.
I appreciate all you do for the TFT scene. A shame about the production getting scaled down, but I do think it's probably the path to most success for viewership. Mainstream always had terrible numbers.
Riff, thank you for the 2 months, and you're not wrong. I think everyone. I think the reality is here. I'm speaking from an emotional aspect of things, because young Frodan, with stars in his eyes from when he first saw MLG on TV at 2006 on USA Network, Halo 2 championships, Carbon versus Final Boss, and Carbon does the unthinkable of dethroning the dynasty. And I said, wow, people can commentate over video games. That starry-eyed teenage Frodan's dreams are now being stampeded on. That's all. I understand the realities of it, and sometimes you just have to deal with it. Last but not least, the 7 slots in America is got for the TFT Inkborn Fables Worlds. 3 will be given to the top competitors and 1 slot for the player with the highest average placement in the Golden Spatula. The 3 remaining slots will be given to the sub-regional player of NA, LATAM, and Brazil that accumulated the most points across all official tournaments in Inkborn Fables. Our aim here is to reward top players but secure a minimum of sub-regional representation at Worlds. And so, as you guys were seeing, we have 3 people who are guaranteed based on qualifier points for the season. So the top Latin player, the top Brazilian player, the top NA player, guaranteed. And then at America's, top 3 in standings on the final day, plus the best AVP. Oh, Bryce, you want to chat? All right, let's go ahead. Let me hop in real quick. All right, Bryce, I'm in my Discord if you want. Let me.
Yo.
Hello.
I'm not trying to disrupt your flow or anything. If you want to just keep going with your dramatic reading, but if you wanted to like chat about it, I was down.
I mean, I can chat with it. Let me put up your face real quick. Okay. All right. So, man, I'm sad. It's just sad, like, because I mean, you heard me say it on stream a few times. It's just like, what does it say about the state of casting? What does it say about TFT casting? What does it say about people's jobs and livelihoods, right? There's just a lot of sadness, and I think it's almost a reality that we can't move past. If we want TFT to continue to grow, it's not always going to be rainbows and butterflies all the way down. It just kind of sucks to see not only the things that you set yourself out to do when you were younger, right, as a dream and as a hope and as an aspiration, as a career path, but also your friends.
Yeah, I mean, I totally get that. I mean, I obviously don't have the same like emotional connection to like the history of esports casting that you do. Right, I never thought I was going to be a caster. I kind of like fell into this because you just asked me to do it one day, and then just kind of ran with it from there. So I don't like have that same feeling about it. I do think that what's going on right now in TFT Esports is emblematic of massive shifts going on throughout the esports industry in a number of ways. I think one, there's a broader shift towards co-streaming continuing to draw away viewership from main broadcasts. And I think that Riot is expressly acknowledging that and shifting their priorities here, which potentially has trickle-down impacts to other games as well, though I certainly don't expect to see like the LCS or, VCT be, pull back on main broadcasts in the same way. And I also think it's just, emblematic of the broader shift in esports of all the downsizing that we've been seeing. There's a lot of things in esports that we just took for granted, right? Like doing main broadcasts for our games that were supported at this level as a matter of course. And the reality is that like economically, they don't make a lot of sense in a lot of cases.
Yeah,
and so
yeah. It doesn't make much financial sense. And listen, man, and some people are saying, well, how much of it is, what does it say about TFT casting versus the main broadcast just got it wrong? I mean, I do think the main broadcast, we talked about on our podcast, I do think that there was a lot of things that they could have improved. And very openly, it feels like because it feels like because of what's happening here, I can kind of speak a little bit to it. I got frustrated at one point. That's part of the reason why I started the coaching, because I was like, I think there's a different type of story angle that we can tell. And I just want to see it for myself, right? Like I talked about it with Bryce. I talked about it when I was like, I'm not trying to like, some people are like, you did this, you killed the broadcast. It's like, I just wanted to talk about TFT the way I want to talk about it, and less a little bit about what the production felt like was the right way to communicate that. And I think that there's still even more. I think that for our co-stream stuff, we're kind of at the beginning. There's a lot of different things.
Scratching the surface. Yeah.
We started a Discord server for the co-stream itself to kind of chat about ideas at a bigger level with more people instead of just like a small thing. And I think there's a lot of cool ideas, cooking in there. There's even more room for this co-stream stuff to grow.
I mean, so much more room for this co-stream stuff to go. Part of what I love about the product that we, but mostly you, are building on the co-stream side of things is it's a reimagining of what a co-stream can be. It's not just, there's a big influencer like Tarek who just is going to go live with relatively low effort content, just kind of talking about the game. And I don't say that, by the way, to denigrate Tarek at all. Like that's what basically every other co-stream is. And it's clearly a product that a lot of people want, but I think what you're focused on building is something that goes way beyond that. It's the more casual atmosphere of the typical co-stream, but the incorporation of guests, the production quality, the attempt at telling storylines. It's really a hybrid model between most of the co-streams that we see in other esports, or really all of them that I'm aware of, and main broadcast. And I think that's a big part of the reason why it's continuing to find more and more success, because it is trying to be the best of both worlds.
Yeah. I think the way I viewed it is I think co-streams can be elevated. I mean, I'll say it. I think a lot of co-streams are pretty low effort in general.
Yeah, they are.
Not the best ones, right? But I'm saying I watched a lot of co-streams and I was like, man, you could be doing so much more. We could be doing so much more. And so it feels like I want to elevate that product. And now it almost feels like we have to. It feels like the pressure's on.
Yeah,
the pressure is on, because like now it's like, well, okay, main broadcast is basically folding. What are you gonna do? And I feel like a lot of people are looking at us, and now it's like, oh man, Monka W. There's like a lot of people staring at me right now, and I'm just like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I think there is pressure. I think this is carrying the torch. But the part of it that I really love, and that goes back to when you first talked about when you were first thinking about moving on from the main broadcast for TFT, it was you felt like the product wasn't evolving. You felt like it was basically staying the same with relatively marginal improvements on a set over set basis. Format stayed the same, the production itself stayed largely the same, the casting stayed largely the same. Like there wasn't a lot of pushing the envelope. And what we get to do via the co-stream is we get to continue to push. We get to continue to I've come full circle on my analysis of like whether or not play-by-play casting has any role whatsoever. Like the way we incorporate guests, the way we tell stories, the energy of the broadcast itself. Like I think it all has room to change. To say nothing of the production quality and what will happen if we get the opportunity to pour a little bit of more gasoline on this fire. Right? We waved Magic Wand and you had a budget that was roughly akin to the budget that was given to the main broadcast, there's a lot of additional things that could happen.
We'll see, man. I got some. I don't want to overhype it, but we already got some ideas for Set 11. I think I showed you a couple of them. Some good stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I used to watch LS all the time for LCS because I felt like he had kind of insights to give due to his knowledge, but now he just talks with his friends the whole time, and I can't stand it. I know exactly what you're talking about, and for the very same reasons, I think I actually have shifted back to watching the mainstream for LCS, which is not bad. I love watching Flowers and Azeo and all them for LCS.
Yeah, I mean, I think the LCS product, from my perspective, it's taken a step in the right direction this season. I was about to say set.
Yes.
this season.
So yes, they're shutting down the main broadcast. But overall, I'm still in the period of mourning. If you guys are just tuning in a little bit late, I'm still in the period of mourning, kind of mourning all the loss of casting, the loss of my friends. I know a lot of them just reached out like, I can't justify doing TFT anymore, but it's been really nice working with you, and I'll always like follow you along, and that kind of stuff. And it felt very emotional having those conversations last night with some of the casters. But I will try really hard. Fight for those who can't, So I'll make a lot of people proud.
For sure. And to be clear, because the way you said, there will still be a main broadcast for regionals and for worlds.
Yes, for regionals and for worlds.
They won't be for the cups. Which means there's a huge gap, right? Like the main broadcast isn't going to exist for the majority of competitive TFT content. We'll basically have these blips of the main broadcast at the end of the set. What that's going to look like, I'll be really curious to see, because like you said, a lot of talent's not going to be able to justify staying super connected to TFT because there's just not enough work to justify the time investment. So I wonder who's going to cast. I wonder in what kind of form they're going to be in terms of their knowledge. I think there'll be like rust on the broadcast in general because running cups regularly gives you the opportunity to like kind of work through the kinks and try things. So
yeah,
I'll be curious to see like what the main broadcast looks like moving forward.
All right. So here are some reactions. I read you one from Go. It's funny that Bryce is actually on here. Bryce's response to EMEA says, honestly, fuck it. I'm down to give EMEA 100% slot at Worlds. The region is guaranteed last place already. Might as well guarantee the win and improve their AVP to 4.5 while we're at it.
Yeah, I mean, this was, to be clear, this was a meme.
Come on, Bryce, don't be bitter.
Hydra was memeing about like, just get good. He was memeing about the spots because he knows, like, EMEA knows, man. Like they know that they that they just got extra spots that is at least not backed up from their competitive performance at Worlds over the course of the last 5 sets.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so
it's okay. Bryce is just joking, you guys.
I'm joking, but also Flame and
we have an EMEA faction that supports our podcast and show. We have an EMEA expansion. Yeah, I like the rivalry, Bryce. I like the rivalry. Try not to antagonize our fans.
I mean, look, I hope I was the one on the podcast who was like, hey, if EU does well, at Worlds, I will root for them. And then all of chat were the ones who got mad at me. So am I antagonizing our fans or are fans feeling like if I'm not strictly in line, it's a problem?
I like it. All right, Disho replies, ZZZZ, this new competitive format, I get EU is bigger than NA if the world slots are based on player size, but when VN has more players than EU and NA combined, it doesn't make sense because VN also has to compete with all of APAC. Also, Malala winning is just -1 slot for Americas, basically. Feels like they wanted to make the slots even for fun without thinking about it too much. Pretty harsh criticism from Dish Soap. Okay, not that harsh, actually. Just pretty loud criticism that Dish Soap doesn't like this format. But it makes sense. He's got fewer slots, fewer opportunities. It makes much more sense. Yeah, a lot of EMA players are like, great for us. And I think Dish Soap basically speaks on behalf of North America. Sucks for us. And then Michael actually tweeted out the actual player slot numbers. America's, look at this. 1,500,000, so 1.5 million. EMEA 1.8 million. APAC 4.56 million. And it's like, these are the slots we're giving more to EMEA. That's like the Vietnamese numbers. 2.2 million alone clears EMEA or Americas, right? That's what Dish Up was referencing. That's what Dish Up was referencing.
Yeah, that's so. I mean, my God, it's such a big player base. It's tough because how do you balance out the relative strength of the regions versus the size of the regions? That's not an easy thing to account for.
Remove LATAM and EMEA spots, guys. You have to understand the growth of TFT depends on regions like LATAM and all of them scaling up. And I was saying before, Bryce, that I look forward to LATAM leveling up because they compete, right? Like, what if a lot of their players clear us at Golden Spatula, right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden the top players like Michael start pairing up with other individuals, right? Like Rob doesn't prep with anyone. Dislope's not prepping with anyone. Like they need other people. It'd be cool.
Yeah.
I think it'd be really
cool. And also anyone who thinks that we should be kind of discounting minor regions in TFT, I think is missing one of the truly beautiful things about competitive international TFT, which is that in other esports, because they tend to be team games, the minor regions, even if they have a player that's theoretically capable of playing on the same level, it's just hard to actually prove it or ever get there. But in TFT, you can have a minor region like Japan that is clearly weaker relative to other regions if you look at it kind of overall pound for pound. But then you could have a player in that region like Tidal that is clearly a tier 1 world-class player. And so I want to give as much opportunity as we can to the minor regions for those types of players to come up and prove their mettle on the international scene. I think it's part of what makes international TFT way, way more compelling than like 95% of esports.
Yes. I'm just reading a couple more things to wrap this up. Panda, I already read the first part of it where it started, from now on, EMEA will no longer host official broadcasts, so it makes it hard to justify committing to TFT as a career path in my current role as a caster. Although the news is difficult to accept at first, I also think that this may force me to take a new path, which ultimately I've been considering for months now, in which I have more creative control over what I want to accomplish in this space. It'd be easy to simply quit and move on, but I think you know how passionate I am about TFT. At TFT, wow, tagging them. Oh man, talk about tagging your ex. It's going to be difficult to pave a path. Wow, this is actually kind of Giga Chad. You know how passionate I am about the person that dumped me. It is going to be difficult to pave a path through which I can find financial stability while being committed to everything that I want to accomplish in the scene. But hey, time to rise up to that challenge. Also, I just want to say, by the way, Panda puts as many emotes in per paragraph as my dad. This dude is the emote legend.
Yes.
I don't know, like this. If there's a sentence, there will be an emote. I do wish my co-casters in NA, Brazil, and LATAM scenes had the same set 11 grace period to figure out that they could move on with TFT. So I only hope that they can bounce back from this news and continue to stay with TFT as well. That's all I'll say for now. This topic. Stay tuned for more concrete news in the coming weeks. Heart. What I will say is that this gives an opportunity for a lot of other casters to step up, right? I think hopefully I showed what is possible in North America. I would love if Panda's hosting. Panda is our host for EMEA. Don't talk if you don't know. You know, you have some room on your profile space, Panda. You could probably put that in your bio. Link in my bio, if you know what I mean. Link in my bio. You probably afford to put it in. You got some new you got some real estate. Open it up, my friend.
Also, this guy's pinned tweet is still him making Challenger. Haven't you made Challenger like a bunch of times?
Yeah,
Like,
he has. But you'd be surprised, man. EMEA people get flamed all the time. Anyways, yeah, Panda hosts our podcast. I would love to see you rise up for EMEA and do that because as much as I love covering everything, maybe I'll do a EMEA co-stream one day.
For sure.
But I can't do it all the time, right? I'm only one person.
He says while maintaining 12 different jobs at once.
So yeah, that's it. There's some Reddit threads about it. People are talking about how like they only watch main broadcast in the last couple of tournaments.
Man, I'm getting more dogged again.
And a lot of people are saying nice things.
Panda.
Oh, Gangly, thank you for 12 months. Gangly, thank you for the year, man. The world needs Panda. I mean, Panda's offering a lot. You guys saw what he did for our co-stream for Worlds. Yeah, there's a lot of people chatting about it, so you guys can all check that out. But that's the end of that.
All right, I'm going to dip then. Bye, friend.
Thank you,
Have a good
Bryce.
stream.
Later, man.
I'll see you soon. Bye, chat.